Good evening. I'm meteorologist Rod Childers back at the digital desk tonight. I want to bring in our first interview for the evening. This is the lady who drove me to work today. Yeah.
His chauffeur.
Joyce Peterson. You did a good job, too.
Used to it.
Yeah,
Years
you really
living
are.
in Green Bay and Chicago. But, you know, you live here long enough and you kind of lose your edge.
Yeah.
I've been here 30 years, and so it comes back kind of like riding a bike, but it takes a hot minute. And, I mean, it's white knuckle driving. It's very stressful. So if you don't have to go out, don't. Because even though it melted a little bit and the main roads have one lane each way, it is still so hazardous. And there are some crazy fools out there driving, and they're putting all of us in danger.
And if you're wondering why did Joyce Peterson drive Rod Childers to work, well, she's my wife. We live together. So we decided to risk one car today instead of two.
Funniest email we've ever received is during the pandemic when we were broadcasting from home.
Yeah.
And we received an email from a woman who said, "Why is Joyce Peterson in Ron Childers' living room?" And it was such hard work during the pandemic that lifted our spirits.
Yeah,
we got
it
such
really
a good
did.
laugh out of that. But the reason I was in his living room is because it's my living room too, and I decorated it.
No, quite
So that's
frankly,
why.
it's her living room, her house. We have a little saying in the in the weather office. What do a hurricane, a tornado, and a wife have in common?
Eventually, one of them's going to get your house.
We gotta have a little levity, right? Hey, let's talk about it today. It's serious day for
Very
MLGW.
much
We
so.
noticed the lack of water pressure at our house.
Yep.
Notice the lack of water pressure here. Big problems there, huh?
Oh, and even throughout the day today, flushing the toilets here at 1960 Union in Midtown, I mean, there is hardly any water pressure, and we're not in the advisory area for the boil water advisory, and it's precautionary, but we'll talk about that in a second.
So the hard freeze causing water mains to freeze, and now with the thaw, we're seeing the results of that.
Yeah, MLGW says they had more than 500 small and medium-sized pipes break in Memphis and Shelby County homes and businesses, including 201 Poplar, the courthouse there. Several of the courtrooms, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in general sessions, courtrooms had flooding. And then juvenile court, you know, that beautiful old building down on Adams. Well, it's old, so it was already in rough shape, but they had flooding there. They had to pipe water out of the elevator shaft. The sprinkler system in the courthouse and juvenile court busted in the cold weather.
This could take weeks to fix.
Well, apparently, according to Shelby County officials, they've already gotten the crews in there and fixed the leak in the sprinkler system and sucked up the water, but it's going to take some time to dry it out. And they were closed anyway because of the bad weather, so nobody was in there, fortunately. And juvenile court, as we know, they built a new juvenile facility, an education center that's out on Getwell. So the young people who were housed at juvenile court previously, they weren't there. So fortunately, that was not an issue.
Good press conference today from Doug McGowan. Robert Connect had some comments, Mayor Young as well, but Doug McGowan, he really...
Chief
kinda-
McGowan?
yeah, Chief
Can you
McGowan.
tell
Yeah,
he
Chief McGowan.
He's
Yeah.
military. Can you tell
Yeah.
he's military? He is the Energizer Bunny. But yeah, he talked about the conservation alert for all MLGW customers,
Yeah.
and then also the boil water advisory. So the conservation alert applies to all of us, all MLGW customers. And so what that means is while you're shaving, don't keep the water running. While you're brushing your teeth, turn the water off. Take a quick shower instead of a long hot bath. Don't use the washing machine, which even leading up to this, I mean, I have, this guy is, you know, my weather source. So leading up to this, I got all the laundry done even
Yeah.
before the snow arrived. But don't use the washer right now. Don't use the dishwasher. And if you are washing dishes by hand, don't leave the water running. Just put some water in the sink and wash them that way, and then rinse them very quickly.
I have a question though. I mean,
Yeah.
because we left our faucets running, and we really don't have to worry about it in the house we're in until the temperatures dip into the single digits.
Yeah.
Now, we were in the 30s today, so having your faucets dripped is not a big deal for most areas, but we're going to see temperatures fall near the single digits tomorrow night,
Right.
and again Saturday night, and highs for Friday, Saturday only in the 20s. Many areas Saturday may not even get out of the mid-20s. So
2 more days of dripping the faucets. When the temperature gets above freezing, above 32 degrees, MLGW asks that you stop dripping your faucets or drip them a little less than you are now. But when it is below freezing, yeah, keep it dripping, especially
Yeah.
if your faucet's on that exterior wall, which our kitchen, I worry about it because our kitchen sink is on an exterior wall. So I've got all the doors on the cabinets open up, and I've got the faucets dripping. And
we'll fall into the low to mid-20s tonight. So it is a drip your faucets night, but how does that, fare with the conservation that they're asking us to do?
well, it's below freezing, so MLGW gets it. It's below
Okay.
freezing. Drip your faucets. Don't run your faucets, but drip your faucets.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the boil water advisory.
Yeah.
It's for 15% of MLGW customers and in 2 sections of Shelby County. I believe we have it on our website. Yeah, so the boil water advisory story is on our website. Just go to actionnews5.com. And then on there, we have posted the maps provided by MLGW. There are the 2 sections. Look at the top left corner and then also the bottom right corner.
Poor Shelby Forest.
Every time
there's
they
anything.
live in the woods.
Yeah.
That's what you get. That's the trade-off for living out in the wilderness. It's beautiful out there. Most folks out there, they expect this. In fact, there's an MLGW VP who shall go nameless who lives out there. So they're used to it. It doesn't make it any easier, but they're used to it. In fact, during the thunderstorm of June 2023, we had a real bad thunderstorm and power went out in many parts of the city. They had a boil water advisory then in that part of the county because there was low water pressure. All right, so let's talk about these sections. The top section in the northwest part of the county, if you are west of Highway 51 and bordered by the Loosahatchee to the south, the Mississippi River to the west, and then the Shelby-Tipton County line to the north, you are under a precautionary boil water advisory. And what that means, you can still brush your teeth and bathe normally, but drinking water should be boiled for at least a minute or use bottled water or a filter on your drinking water. The southeast portion, that is Walnut Grove west of Shelby Farms, east of Perkins, south of Winchester, west of Airways Boulevard, west of Perkins, or east of Perkins, and then toward Forest Hill is the cutoff, and then you see that pink line to the west right there. The suburbs are okay. CEO McGowan says that Collierville, Bartlett, Germantown, Millington, your water is okay. So it's just the folks in the southeast portion of Memphis and Shelby County. And East Memphis, you're in there too.
That's us. You and I are in that. We've got water filters though.
Well, we're not. We're outside because we are on the other side of Perkins. We have a good friend who lives on Perkins.
Yeah. All right,
she texted me tonight, so she is in that. We also have friends over in Southwind. They texted. They are in that. I heard from gentleman who just moved here. He has an apartment on Hacks Cross, and he wanted to know if he's included in it. Yes, you are. And again, the advisory is precautionary. No contaminants in the water, but when the water pressure drops this low because of all the breaks in the pipes, there is a concern that there could be microbes in the water. And there is a state mandate, a state regulation that says issue a precautionary boil water advisory until the water pressure comes up to a certain level. And they also have to send samples to the state, make sure that it tests, and when we get the all clear, then we can do away with the boil water advisory. But again, you can brush your teeth and bathe normally. It's just drinking out of the tap. We love that aquifer water. It's pristine and delicious, and a bunch of us hydrate around here. I know you carry around a water bottle too.
Yeah.
Bottled water for right now, otherwise you have to boil the tap water.
So, you know, with the pipes buried, there's active bacteria, things in the soil that can leach in from those breaches. If you have a water filtration system at your home, let's say your refrigerator has a water filter on it, or you've got a purification system on the sink, do you still have to do that?
Filter, then boil. And also, if you think you have lead pipes, filter, then boil. Filter, then boil, if you think you have lead pipes. We got an email from someone in Arlington. Their water is brown right now. So the advice is don't drink it, obviously, and don't wash your clothes because that's rust or sediment, and you don't want your clothes to get stained. So if it's discolored, best bet, don't drink it.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot
Good
going
information.
on.
You're going to talk more about this on Action News 5 at 10 as well, right?
I am inside tonight. Thank you to my bosses for allowing me to come in. It's day 6 for us. We'll be here tomorrow as well, day 7. I will drive you again. I'll drive you home tonight.
Thank you very much. You did good. You did really
10 and
well.
2, 10 and 2. Oh, and the thing I've noticed is that our generation, when in driver's ed, we were taught the 2000 rule.
Yeah.
When the car in front of you passes a dotted line, you know, in the highway or the road, you count 1 1000, 2 1000. And if you pass that same dotted line before you get to 2 1000, you're following too closely. The younger generation here in the newsroom, they were taught 3 1000. Isn't that interesting?
That's even better.
Our producer, Lydian, is nodding her head. So it's gotten more cautious in driver's ed, apparently.
But do you do that, Lydian? That's a big no.
Allegedly. But it's better safe than sorry. So let's do the millennial 3 1000 instead of the boomer and the
Well, and
Gen
physics
X.
comes into play. On ice, you're moving at a certain speed. Even if you hit your brakes, you hit ice, you're
Ice is in
still
charge.
going
You're
to
not.
go.
Yeah,
You're still going to
absolutely.
move forward. So you
All
want
right.
to give yourself plenty of time. JP,
I'll let
thank
you get to the first
very
alert
much.
forecast. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it's good
See you in a
seeing
bit.
you. I'll see
Okay.
you on TV
Thanks, y'all. Take
tonight
care.
on Action News 5
All
at
right.
10. Let's talk about the weather, shall we? Because it is a first alert weather day. We're still dealing with clouds around the area, but we got the freezing rain and sleet out of it. Well, really, there was no sleet. It was rain and freezing rain today. So we dealt primarily with about 1/10 of an inch over most of the area. We picked up 1200s here in Memphis, but now we got drier air that's filtering in behind that. And that drier air is really going to have a big impact on things for us as we get into really the end of the week, because we've got bitter cold. That's going to come into play now, and that bitter cold, it's going to grip us. We've got a wind chill advisory that will go into effect tomorrow night. We're likely to have single-digit or below zero wind chills in the area. The high temperature today did rebound to 34 degrees after the precipitation moved out. We were at 23 this morning, and again, 0.12 of an inch of rain, and that all fell in the form of freezing rain. So I heard from several friends who talked about the fact that this freezing rain this morning was actually slipperier than the snow. The snow gives you at least a little traction. We just had a layer of thin ice. Fortunately, 1/10, so it didn't create any issues with power or significant travel issues, but we're still dealing now with a bitter cold, and I think that's going to have a significant impact on us, especially in regard to refreezing and leading into a cold into the week and weekend. So tonight we're looking at temps right around the low 20s for West Tennessee, should be in the low 20s, low to mid 20s for northern Mississippi, and lower 20s over in eastern Arkansas. Partly cloudy sky, but many people may not see it. So we've got temperatures in the 20s tonight. Streets and bridges definitely refreeze overnight. There will be black ice in the morning. Be very cautious. It's black ice. You can't see it. It's mixed with dirt and stuff on the roads, and so it's just there. It looks like asphalt, but you can find yourself in trouble quickly. But we're also going to be dealing with fog. This is a look outside from our camera site in Olive Branch tonight. Little fog there in the distance, but we're tracking freezing fog for the entire coverage area, and we've got a freezing fog advisory in effect from now until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That is for the entire coverage area. And I think from now until midnight, those temperatures falling below freezing for just about the entire coverage area, and widespread fog in the area by midnight tonight. That's going to continue into the very early hours of Friday before finally pushing east. The drier, cold air really starts to filter in Friday morning. So I think it's going to push that moisture east to the Tennessee River Valley, and then we'll get some clearing and some sunshine during the day tomorrow. But if you're expecting anything in the way of a warm-up, we're only going to be in the 20s. So with fog increasing late tonight, that's going to make driving conditions hazardous. Here's what freezing fog is. It is water vapor. It's super cooled water vapor, micro dots of water, so to speak, suspended in the atmosphere, a result of that colder air overriding that layer of ice and moisture at the surface. You get a little radiational fog from that, and as a result, it's just floating water vapor, and it's looking for anything and everything to adhere to. And with the surface temperature at or below 32 degrees, that puts everything in there below freezing. So whatever it comes in contact with, it sticks to, it adheres, and it forms a very thin glaze of ice. And that can make bridges and overpasses extremely slippery. It can also create problems with visibility on your windshield. If you've not allowed your car to warm up adequately before heading out into this, well, that water vapor will adhere to your windshield, and you can find yourself losing visibility very quickly. So nonetheless, it's going to make travel hazardous overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning. I want everybody to stay safe. We're going to talk more about that coming up on Action News 5 at 10. If you could take the day off tomorrow, please do. School's closed once again. I do think we're going to get some good melting Friday, even though temperatures are going to only be in the 20s. We'll be in the 20s again on Saturday, lower range of the 20s. It's going to feel colder. We'll have a wind chill advisory in effect, and we're expecting single digit to near zero wind chills. and a full day of sunshine. So even though it's going to be bitterly cold, the sun will contribute to melting on major thoroughfares, but I still think side streets, less traveled roads around the Mid-South, they're still going to be covered in ice Saturday on into Sunday as well, and we'll likely still find some icy spots in and around the coverage area well into Monday, when we are expecting to get into the 40s, by the way. We got a big warm-up coming next week. We'll be near 60 by Thursday, but we're also tracking rain and the potential for some thunderstorms. I'm going to talk more about that on Action News 5 at 10. And of course, we'll have a complete update on the cold, a look at futurecast, talk more about temperatures in the area, and we'll have the day's news. Joe Birch, Joy Redmond will be along, and we've got reporters out in the field tonight to bring you reports of what's going on and where, and a recap of the day and a look ahead to what's in store for the end of the week and the weekend. That's on Action News 5 at 10. I'm going to get out of here and get ready for the 10 p.m. newscast. A couple of things to do before then. Be safe. Check on your elderly friends, neighbors, relatives. Make sure they're warm, safe as well. Don't forget about your pets. Make sure they're warm, they have shelter, and check their water if they're outside frequently, because the temperature is falling below freezing tonight. That water is going to freeze quickly. Well, that's it this time around.